Good evening, good afternoon, or whatever time it is, wherever you are. And welcome to Dharma Paths for the Shamatha meditation. This evening, Lama Kathy will be talking to us about the skills, mindfulness and alertness. Lama Kathy.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see all of you this evening. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a couple of weeks since we began this shamatha group experience, and I appreciate you coming to be here on Wednesday nights to meditate with us. I would like to begin by doing some prayers. And I'll ask Yunten to please put the prayers on the screen for the at the beginning. We have some beginning prayers to put on, and we'll start with these prayers. And then after that, I may ask you if you how things have been going for you in your meditation, and do about 10 minutes of feedback. So if anybody would like to do so, you can put some questions in chat if you want to, or you can put your raise hand function up, because I'm going to be asking you how you've been doing. If anybody has a report, good, bad, or indifferent. Okay, we'll begin with some prayers. All right. We'll start with the Mahamudra lineage supplication, asking the masters of the past to be present with us and to bless our work in the Shamatha workshop. O doje chan chen te lo narodang marpam hi la chu je kampo pa du sum she ja kun kien karma pa che shi chun je ju pa tin nandang Drita tsao sum pa den drupa so sablam cha ja che lang nye pe nyam me tro kun da po ka jula so adep so ka jula manam Jupatin no nam tar jin ji lo shin lo gong ki kam par sum pa jin se nor kun la cha shen he padang se dir tu ta chu pe kom chen la Ne kurshen pa me parchin chilo mugu kom ki go war sum pajen menga ter go che pe la mala jundu so wa de pe kom chen la Chumim hugu ke war chin ji lo yang me kom ki ngu jir sum pa jin gan shar to pe ngo wo so ma de ma chu de ka jo pe kom chen la gom ja lo dang dra war chin ji lo nam to mo wo chu kur sung pa jin chiang pa yin chiang char wala magaro par char we kom chen la Korde her me to par chin ji lo ke wa kun tu yan da la ma dang Draume chuki palalon chuching sadalangi yen rapsodne dorje changi gopan yur tosho dorje changi go pan yur tosho. Or sanje chudang sochi chonam la Jangchu pardu tani kyap suchi daji jinso jibe sunam ki drola penshir sanje druparsho sanje chudan soji chonam la Jangchu pardu tani kyap suchi daji chinso jibe sunam ki drola penshir sanje druparsho sanje chudan soji chonam la Jangchu pardu tani kyap suchi daji chinso jipe sunam ki drola penshir sanje druparsho. Semchen tamche dewa tan te wegyu tan tempar gyur chik dungal tan dungagi chu tan trawar chik dungam hepe dewa tampa tam hindrawar chik Nerin chan tan ye dan drawe ton yen chempola nepar chik Semchen tamche dewa tan te wegyu tan tempar gyur chik dungal tan dungal gi chu tan trawar chik dungal mepe dewa tampa tam hindrawar chik nerin chan tan ye dan drawe ton yen chempola nepa chik Semchen tamche tewa tan te wegyu tan tempar gyur chik dungal tan dungal gi chu tan trawar chik dungal mepe tewa tampa tam hindrawar chik nerin chan tan ye dan drawe ton yen chen polan nepa chik Chatalwadang chuchin shapadang Jesu yirang kershin sohayi Gewa chunze dagi jisapa Tamche dagi chan chup chingo. Okay, thanks very much. I'm sorry to be a little bit late this evening. It was my mistake. I didn't have the proper link to join tonight, so I'm sorry to delay the beginning this evening. But I hope that you've been having a good time with the talks that we've been doing so far. Lama Karma gave a great explanation on how to meditate. And then last week, Lama Tom shared some tips and tricks for working with the obstacles that can arise in meditation. And today, I'm going to talk about skills because most of us, when we first start meditating, we don't, we're so concerned. We're so concerned with quote unquote doing it right that sometimes we forget that there is actually something that's growing and building inside of us, and that is skills. skills to be able to work with the mind, and skills to be able to work with our thoughts and our feelings and emotions. And it all starts on the meditation seat. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I wanted to, let me take a quick look here. Yeah, okay. And one of the things I wanted to do was show you what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm going to share my screen for a second and show you the list of what we're going to be covering this evening. We're going to be talking about the skills, mindfulness and alertness. I'm going to be defining what mindfulness is. I'm going to be defining what alertness is. I'm going to be talking about how to recognize stagnant shamatha, like shamatha that kind of hangs out and does nothing. You might think you're doing a good job, but maybe you're not. So we have to figure out how to recognize when shamatha is not going wrong. Then at the end, I'm going to teach you a little bit of homework. How to meditate on an external visual object, how to place your attention on the object, how to attend to the object, how to let up and relax, and how to be simple, direct, and non-conceptual. So we've got a lot of work to do tonight, but I thought it would be useful to look at the outline of what we're doing so you'd have an idea. Let's see, I'm going to make a note to myself. Okay. Okay, simple. Okay. So that is a little bit of what we're going to cover tonight. I hope to get to it, but little by little. So the reason I wanted to start with your feedback is I wanted to see how it's going for you. Some of you may be beginning meditators. Maybe some of you have been meditating for a long time. But I wanted to see if anybody had any comments or initial questions about their meditation. How's it going? You can use the raise hand function, which is in the reactions bar at the bottom, or you can type something into chat. And I'll be quiet for a moment to see if there are any people who are interested in sharing how things have been going for them. Is it going well? Is it going difficult? How's it going? Okay. Here we go. Remembering to recall, David's sharing, remembering to recall my intention, help my meditation. See, that's something I think that both Lama Karma and Lama Tom shared. It seems to ground me and help me to focus, less likely to be distracted. Yeah, isn't it funny how placing a motivation at the beginning really helps to give you some momentum as you go into the session. Thanks for sharing that, David. Anyone else? Angela is sharing, the more I practice, the more I want to practice. Okay, the easier it gets. I still have a hard time sticking to a schedule. Boy, I tell you what, Angela, I can relate. I think Lama Tom last week shared a little bit with you about choosing your time of day. At least this is something I remember, but I may have been confused about it. But I do think that it's that what he said to me before is that if you look at your day and you see some quiet periods in your day where you're not doing a lot of something, or you're between tasks, you can always choose that time to sneak in a little bit of meditation. For people like me, I have a busy mind, Angela, so I have to do mine very briefly, but every single day in the morning when I first get up, because once my feet hit the floor, it's a problem. So I try to steal some time right at the beginning of my day. And then the other day I had to go to the doctor's office, and I could have been sitting in the doctor's office waiting for the doctor to come in and worrying about something. But instead I said, I'm just going to sit right now. And I used the same technique that David was talking about. I set my intention. I did a little prayer, And then I just sat and meditated until the doctor came in. So I was stealing a little time from the rest of my day to meditate in. So, but thank you, Angela. Just keep making that intention to do it, and it will slowly, you'll see your moments. Even if what Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche said, it's better to do just a few minutes every day than to try to do a lot occasionally. So he said it's better to do a few minutes every day and have it be short than to have a long period, but only once in a while. And then Tom is sharing, if you practice too early, you may be tired and not have good focus and extreme dullness. Too late may be the same issue. Well, I got to tell you, Tom, I can also relate to this, but here's the thing. I have a secret to tell you. When I teach meditation, I try to not use two words. One word I try never to use is focus, and the other word I try never to use is concentrate. Because when I teach meditation and I use the words focus and concentrate, everybody tends to like over focus or over concentrate because we want to do it well, right? So then we push too hard, and when we push too hard, we actually have more thoughts. That was what Rinpoche told us. He said, "Don't hold your mind too tight." So this is one of the things we'll be talking about tonight, is how to not be too tight and not be too loose with our attention. So I have a friend who studied with the forest monks in West Virginia, here in the US. Mm-hmm. And the forest monk told him, "Wow, you Westerners, you really judge your meditation a lot." He says, you're always talking about, "Oh, I had a good meditation," or, "Oh, I had a bad meditation." He said, "Don't worry about that." He said, "A good meditation is one you actually did." In other words, actually sitting, even if it's not easy, is better than not sitting because you're waiting for the perfect moment to meditate. So I do appreciate what you're saying. I really appreciate, Tom, what you're saying is that we try to pick times of the day when we're not dull, and we try to pick times of the day when we are more attentive. So I don't mean to joke around about that. That's actually true. We try to choose times. But my concern is that I don't want people to think that they have to wait until their mind is perfect before they even sit down to meditate. It really does come from the heart, the wish to practice meditation for the benefit of being. So yeah, I appreciate that. I have time for maybe three or four more comments. It says, did Rinpoche say 6-minute sessions were good? I'll tell you what, he just said short sessions. He didn't give a time. He said that short sessions every single day are better than longer sessions occasionally. And that's also actually supported by brain science. I was part of the brain studies at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. And I also in 2007, and I also participated in the brain studies at Princeton in 2007. And one of the scientists I met, I'm still friends with. Her name is Dr. Julie Brefsinski Lewis, and she's with the University of West Virginia. And she said that their research has shown that even 5 minutes of daily meditation can make an impact in a person's well-being. I think we should always aim for more than that. But I thought that was really interesting that the science held up with even really short sessions. But Rinpoche didn't say that. Here's Janice. Janice is sharing, during my meditation, my thoughts are everywhere, but when I notice that I chant Om Mani Padme Hum, it usually brings my focus back. Well, that's right. I can understand that, because I think what's happening to us now, because of the phenomena of smartphones and the internet, and all the apps that are on they're on your phone and things like this, I think that our attention is being chopped up. In fact, Lama Tom sent me an article today from Atlantic Monthly talking about our need to take our attention back from all of these places that we've put our attention, all of these apps and social media sites are wanting to sell us advertising by stealing our attention away and making it difficult for us to disengage with the app. And so it's almost like meditation becomes a radical act of self-care. Okay. Meditation is like a radical act of self-care where you're taking your attention back and using it for your own benefit and for the benefit of those you love. So I really appreciate what you're saying there, Janice, is because for some of us, our attention is so chopped up that it's very difficult for us to place our attention. But I think something that Lama Tom may have shared last week is that when we first place our attention in meditation, what will happen, we place our meditation, our attention, let's say we place it on the breath. So we place it on the breath. What we get is a short period of attention that is then followed by a period of mental wandering. Okay. We start with a short period of attention, and then we'll wander into the future, or we'll wander into the past, or we'll do donuts. We'll go round and round and round in the present, but we won't be attentive to the breath anymore. And so this is why the real power moment of meditation for us is when we notice that we are not attending to the breath. So we notice, in fact, you can even label it thinking, you can drop it, and then you can gently bring your attention back to the breath. And this gentleness with which you bring it back is very important. It shouldn't be like a punitive kind of feeling, like, oh, I'm a bad meditator. That's not right. Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche told us many times, it is very difficult for us to keep our attention anywhere. And so we have to do it bit by bit by bit. So it starts with a few seconds, then we wander off, but then we notice, we drop, and then we return. And he said, and I think this is in Excellent at the beginning. Let's see if I can get it close enough to the camera. Nope. Excellent at the beginning. Here we go. Where he says that think of it as a fresh start when you come back. Don't punish yourself. Don't say you're a bad meditator. You notice the distraction, you let it go, and then you gently, 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 gently return it to the breath for a fresh start. And he said there is no limit to the number of fresh starts you can make. So I just wanted to mention that to you in case this was helpful. Rinpoche said it's very difficult to grab your mind and hold it tightly. He says it's better to place your attention, and then when it wanders, bring it back, and just keep doing that again and again and again. Brain science also holds this up. Dr. Julie said that the moment you notice and then come back, she said that is where the new neural pathways are being made in your brain. That's where change happens, is in the moment you notice and then return. So this way, part of the reason I share this teaching with you is because I want everyone to realize that what you will get is a short period of attention that will then be followed by a period of mental wandering. You will actually have a period of wandering. It will happen. But what will happen is that the attention period will get 1 second longer, and the distraction will be 1 second shorter. And then gradually over time, we develop more time in attention and less time in diversion, particularly if we can be kind and gentle with ourselves when we return. So I just wanted to make sure. I'm so glad that these people. I thank you so much, friends, for sharing these feelings and thoughts you have about your practice. I think I really do appreciate this.
There are a few more there.
I'm going to try to get to.
Okay.
I'm going to have only, because of time and because I started late tonight, I'm probably only going to be able to take a couple more. But thank you. Thank you, Yunten. Vivian is saying, I want to do it more. I do it in the morning, but it's necessary for me to not do. If I do not do it in the morning, it's hard for me to function. Yeah, I get that. I was debating between workout and meditation, and the order varies. Yeah, not knowing why. Yeah. Maybe with the rest of the night before, after Chenrezig, I was so, oh yeah, like last night, because you attended Chenrezig in Columbus, because we have it on Zoom every Tuesday night. I was so tuned to the chant, and I did some Tara. You know, between what you're saying, Viviana, and what Janice is saying, I think that everybody has a different object of meditation that works better for them. For some people, the chant is really a good object of meditation. For some people, it's the breath. For some people, it's the chant. I do understand that. I remember Lama Tashi Dunda, the Lama who lives at the Trungpa Rinpoche Center in Toronto. He said, when you first learn to chant, he said it's like a form of shamatha, because he said if you get lost in the text, he said it's not easy, you know. He said, but so you have to have attention on the text in order to stay with the chant. So for many people, shamatha, the chant is a form of shamatha. Yeah, you may have to, Vivian, you may have to experiment a little bit and do your meditation at different times of the day in order to find the best time for you. But just be gentle with the whole process. Be gentle with yourself in the whole process, because when we are harsh with ourselves, it doesn't help the I guess the foundational thing that we're trying to accomplish in meditation, which is to become friends with our mind. Because right now, for many of us, I'm included, everybody's included, our mind is sometimes like an untamed dog, a very big untamed dog on a leash that is leading us for a walk. You know, our mind is kind of uh, pulling us here and there and here and there, and we feel a little bit out of control. But when we start to meditate, we begin to get little bits of that control back through applying the practice. So, oh, great. Thank you, Ash. I appreciate you sharing that. Oh, and thank you, Yunten, for sharing the excellent at the beginning. I love that book. Okay, I think we'll have to stop here with feedback for right now. But boy, I really appreciate you sharing this with me, because I feel like we all want to do well, and sometimes we put a little extra pressure on ourselves because we want to do well in meditation, and we also need to develop this gentleness. Now, let's see what time it is. Okay, yeah. I think that I would like to do 2 short periods of meditation, one now and one near the end, if that's okay. Because I'd like to just sit a little bit right now. And then after that, I'd like to go over the definitions of mindfulness and alertness with you and talk to you a little bit about that. Okay. So if those of you who, I don't know that if we have any first time visitors tonight, maybe the other folks who have been here for the last 2 weeks, they already have a little grounding in meditation. So I'll just briefly remind you of the posture. Tonight, I'm sitting in a chair. In fact, I'm going to pull my chair slightly closer. There we go. And so we're going to do maybe about 3 to 5 minutes of meditation. So the way you start is by placing your body in the posture of meditation, which can be on the floor, on a cushion, or sitting in a chair. Either way, if you're sitting in a chair, your feet can be flat on the floor, hip width apart. If your feet don't touch the floor, you can put a cushion underneath them. Your hands can be placed palm downward on the legs. The back should be straight. You can ground yourself on your seat by rocking from side to side and gently tucking in the muscles of the backside. So that's the legs, the seat, the back, the shoulders, hands, and arms. The chin can be tucked in slightly to make a little double chin. This straightens the neck vertebrae. The eyes can be cast downward a few feet ahead, and you're gazing, not looking at a point. You're allowing your gaze to be diffuse. Lastly, the tip of the tongue can be touched to the upper palate behind the front teeth, and this relaxes the muscles of the jaw. So we'll begin with the interior intention to be sitting for the next few minutes for the benefit of oneself and others. We can begin with one deep breath, breathing out, and then allowing the breath to come and go naturally, placing the attention on the breath as it comes in and the breath as it goes out. As we do this, we'll have this short period of attention, and then there might be a little bit of a wandering into the past or the future, but we notice it, we label it thinking, we let it go, and then return to the breath for a fresh start. So we'll sit for just a few minutes. right? That's a very short period of meditation. At the conclusion of a session, it's good to gradually return uh, your attention to the external environment. His Eminence Taisita Rinpoche, when he was teaching shamatha, one time he said, now, when you finish meditating, he said, don't jump up, like a cat, don't jump up straight from your seat. He said, open your eyes, gradually re-engage with the world around you, and then you can get up from your seat and go, and you can dedicate the goodness of your session and then go about your rest of your activities. So this evening, as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking about mindfulness and alertness. I'm going to do a little screen share here of an illustration that I like. And this will be the start of our conversation about mindfulness and alertness. Many of you will be familiar with this picture of the Buddha Shakyamuni. This is showing the last minutes of Prince Siddhartha's cultivation of meditation, and it shows. Let's see if I can make it a little larger. It shows the all of the different forces that were working against the deepness of his meditation. His intention was pure and his practice was perfect, but as the story goes, all of the armies of Mara were attacking him and trying to push him out of his peace. But as all of their weapons approached him, they turned into flowers, and he was unmoved by them. Likewise, the daughters of Mara tried to tempt him with pleasant experiences. And in his estimation, they turned into ugly hags. This symbolizes the fact that he was able to pacify both the positive experiences of meditation and any negative experiences of meditation, and that he was able to be at peace in the depths of his heart and mind. Well, this is not us right now. We see pictures like this and we say, wow, that must be nice. It must be nice to have deep meditation and be able to let go of all of the various obstacles and problems that arise. But this is something that we approach gradually, bit by bit. It just as it didn't happen suddenly for Prince Siddhartha, it doesn't happen suddenly for us either. It comes as the result of work on the practices and the techniques. So one of the two things that I wanted to share with you tonight were mindfulness and alertness. And I attempted to get to do a real live PowerPoint, but I couldn't do it. I really tried, but I just couldn't make it happen. So what I ended up doing was taking a handout that I had received in a meditation class a long time ago. And the origin of this handout was actually from Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche's Shambhala group when it used to be called Vajradhatu. It is very old, but it does contain some bits of advice about mindfulness and alertness. So I'm going to be sharing that with you. In addition, I'm going to share a picture with you that you've probably already seen a few times. And that is, let's see here. Okay, here we go. Okay, got it. All right. Let's see if I can make this happen. All right. Me and technical things, we're not exactly the best. Many of you will have seen this drawing before in one of its forms. This is the drawing called the 9 Stages of Shamatha. I will put a copy of this that you can actually read. I'm sorry I can't enlarge this one. I'm trying, but it doesn't seem to be working. Let's see. I'm going to try one more little technique to see if it'll get bigger. Oh, there it goes. All right. It's a little pixelated, but there you go. This drawing, called the 9 Stages of Shamatha, describes the process of us getting to know our mind. Many of you will remember that the word for meditation, one of the words for meditation in Tibetan is spelled in English as gom, G-O-M, and it means getting used to. So we're getting used to ourselves. We're getting used to our mind. And what are we chasing? We're chasing our mind, and the mind is in the shape of an elephant here. And the elephant is being led by a very busy monkey. So this shows us at our very first stages of learning how to meditate. And the elephant and the monkey have obviously been playing in a mud puddle because they're covered with mud. And the symbolism of them running away from the meditator, that's you and me, shows the large amount of activity in the mind of a meditator when one first starts practicing. And then the rest of the drawing talks about how the stages of shamatha are worked through. You'll be hearing more about this as we go through the various classes. But the reason I wanted to bring the drawing to you today, and I will be sending this plus an explanation from the previous Kalu Rinpoche in his book Luminous Mind. He gives a very short explanation of everything in the drawing. But I just had to share it because right here is us. There we are. We're in the form of a meditator, and we've got 2 skills that we are trying to work on. We've got a lasso and we've got a hook, and we're chasing our mind. And mental scattering, the monkey, is galloping along. So what are mindfulness or recollection and alertness? Well, mindfulness, like the lasso here, is that faculty of the mind that knows we're meditating and that is motivated to pursue the technique of meditation. And that's mindfulness, is that we know that we are engaged in a practice, and we keep that recollection with us in the background. We're not constantly thinking about it, but we are mindful that we are meditating. Alertness is the aspect of mind that allows us to see when we are not attending to the technique. Mindfulness is placing attention and allowing it to rest. And remember, I said that I never use the word focus and I never use the word concentrate. Well, what words do I use instead? I use the word place. We place our attention on the object, and then it rests there for a while. But then, if our mind gets a little tired, we begin to waver and become distracted. We can go into the past or the future or go round and round in the now, but our attention wanders off. And it is alertness that allows us to notice when we have wandered, and alertness that allows us to come back. So I had to share the drawing. And again, I'm sorry, it's really tiny and it's a little complicated. And maybe the other teachers may be cross with me. It's a lot to share, but I love the illustration of the meditator chasing their mind with mindfulness and alertness. These are the two skills we are developing. And you can see these skills develop as you're sitting. When you're sitting, you place your attention and then it stays there. That's mindfulness. You're being mindful that you are doing a practice where you are observing the breath as it comes in, observing the breath as it goes out, and then suddenly you hear a sound. Maybe it's the slamming of a car door from your neighbor who's just returned home from work. And you might think briefly, that's a car door. But then you return to the breath and start again and observe the breath again for a short time. So that really wasn't much of a distraction, that car door closing. It just closed briefly and you thought about it for a second, but it didn't distract you truly because then you went back to the technique. However, if you hear the car door and then you say, oh, is that my neighbor? Is he parking in my parking space? Or is he parking on my grass? I told him never to do that. That is probably a distraction because it's not just one little experience of a perception. It's a perception that's then chaining onto a story of thought. Now, I'm sure all of you are familiar with this having happened to you while you're sitting. But what's so interesting is that when you notice that you're thinking and you're able to label it thinking and drop it, and then gently bring your attention back to the breath for a fresh start, then you're back right where you left off and you're meditating again. You're present with your object of attention again. And so these are the skills. Mindfulness is placing your attention and cultivating the idea that you're meditating that's in the background. And then alertness is alerting you to moments when you're not attentive. And then you return your attention because you have these two skills going. Now, how do you know you have these skills and how do you know they're developing? Well, because slowly over time, you become, especially if you're gentle with yourself and recognizing that distraction is part of meditation and accept that distraction is part of meditation and always come back with love and compassion and kindness for yourself, what will happen is that you'll develop something that Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche called a folksy attitude or a friendly attitude toward your mind, not a punitive attitude toward your mind, not a tight attitude toward your mind. In other words, your mindfulness will begin to develop as a sense of friendliness to your experience. Meanwhile, your attention, your alertness will get better and better. You'll notice sooner and you'll be able to drop sooner and you'll be able to return sooner. This will happen slowly over time, but it's something that can happen because of these two skills, mindfulness and alertness. And so here's the little, let's see here. Oh, I know. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Let me see if I can share this little quotation. Yeah, here we go. He does call it a folksy attitude, but it's like friendly, friendly attitude. And for those of you who like Tibetan, here's the Tibetan word for it. Da rata dra na dren. Dren pa. That is the mindfulness. That's natural mindfulness. And he said what happens is that there is he calls it a sense of natural coordination. Having made friends with your practice when you're forgetful, automatically you bring your mind back to mindfulness. Mindfulness becomes a natural and ordinary process. It's not something that, it's not like a perfect performance that you're attempting to do. Because I think a lot of people come to meditation thinking they have to be perfect. But that's not what it's about. It's about making friends, not being perfect, but making friends. He says, when wandering thoughts arise in practice and post meditation, you automatically know what to do next. Well, maybe not at first, but over time, you will develop the skill to know what to do when thoughts arise. I'm going to see if I can blow this up a little bit more so you can see it a little bit. Oh, that's too much. Okay, let's see if I can make. Yeah, there we go. I'm sorry, I'm not much of a person here who's good with this, with technical things. Then he calls it a light-handed alertness or a light-handed warning system. I think this is very cute. And this is a Sheishin in Tibetan, Sheishin. Let's see if I can spell it in Tibetan. Sha Dringbu She Sa She. I think I'm close. My Tibetan spelling is not 100%. Then Bao Sha Gigushi Na Shin. So say She Shin. It's my Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche told me my Tibetan pronunciation was horrible. So you get the joy of listening to that tonight. But he calls this light-handed system a natural sense of alertness in practice begins to arise over time. Whenever drowsiness or wildness of mind occur, remember last time Lama Tom talked about torpor and agitation? At first, it's like when it happens, we panic. We go, oh no, I'm sleepy, or oh no, I'm agitated. But gradually, we begin to get a sense that it's okay. We got this. We know how to handle this. He says, whenever drowsiness or wildness occur, they act as reminders. They're not a disaster. Over time, we become familiar with the technique so much that we know that these are impermanent. We know their nature. We don't regard them as being bad, but they actually sort of wake you up, and they can actually bring you back to being on what he used to call on the spot. They bring you back to the present moment. The word on the spot sounds a little funny, but it brings you back to your present moment of mind's natural awareness. So that's a little bit about Drenpa, which is mindfulness, and alertness, or Sheishin. Okay, so now you can say you learned a little bit of Tibetan tonight. Drenpa and Sheishin. And these skills are going to help you, because what you're going to hear about in later classes is about, at first, Drenpa and Sheishin are just words. And you may or may not experience them while you sit. But I think that over time, what you notice is you begin to notice thoughts much more quickly when you're on the cushion. And what some people tell me is they even begin to notice their thoughts when they're not meditating. And this at first is a little strange because at first, when we have thoughts on the cushion, we immediately follow them because we're so used to it. We're so used to following our thoughts in everyday life, because for many of us, that's how we make our living. We make our living through our thoughts. I was a writer. I made my living by thinking of things and writing them down. We're so used to thinking that thinking is important. I just want to say that again. I got this beautiful quotation from Lama Yeshe Jamso, the translator. He said, our problem is that we think that thinking is important. And when we think that thinking is important. We want to like keep a I'm going to be a little silly now. We want to keep a notebook right by our meditation seat so we can write down any brilliant ideas that we have. That's not what you should do. Khenpo Rinpoche said this is not the purpose of meditation, is to have big ideas. Although that can happen sometimes. He said, look, if you get a big idea when you're meditating, he said, don't stop meditating to write it down. Don't do that. Don't do that, because then you're just going to encourage yourself to have this happen more and more and more. And then you'll have lots of ideas, but no meditation. So he said, if you have something that you really are concerned that you want to not forget, like, is the cat outside or is the dog outside? He said, what you can do is you can tell yourself, when my meditation is over, I will remember this. Isn't that interesting? He said, some people are so good with this technique, he said, that they can go to sleep at night and tell themselves what time to wake up in the morning. I don't think I'm ever going to be in that place. But what it is that meditation is more important than thinking. And it's really hard for us to recognize that meditation is more important than what we're thinking. But that's what we have to slowly come to understand. So, okay, let's see. Before we go on to the next part, I'd like to see if anybody has questions about Drenpa and Sheishin, or if anybody has any thoughts or questions about this. Oh, I did say I was going to say how to recognize stagnant shamatha. That's a little bit tougher. I may have to ask the next teacher to talk about that a bit, because I think what happens. Well, let me try. That's right. Before I get questions, I better talk about how to recognize when you're stagnating a bit. Some of you will notice that you are using oh, I don't know what the word will be in Chinese, Mark. Lama Mark, I don't know. But, it's like you're propping up your attention. You have like little, anyway, you're following the breath all the way in, you're following the breath all the way out, and you're counting. In breath, out breath, mentally count 1, in breath, out breath, mentally count 2. So it's like, it's an attention device. You have all these attention devices that you're using, following the breath in, following the breath out, and counting. I had a friend who was so good at this that she could count and pay attention while entertaining a daydream on the side. This is not the idea of meditation. So she was doing the technique like perfectly, but she wasn't really doing it. She wasn't allowing herself. She found a way to beat the system. So what some people will have to do in order not to sort of stagnate is they will probably over time want to drop some of these attention devices. Like maybe Rinpoche, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, when he was teaching us how to do this, he said, at first, you will follow the breath all the way in and follow the breath all the way out, and then you will count. He said, for most people, the counting can go away first. For some people, the counting makes them a little crazy, so it goes right away. And then they follow the breath in and they follow the breath out. He said, well, then the next thing you can do to make it a little more difficult is to stop following the in breath and only follow the out breath. That's the next one. And then finally, he said, you can bring your attention just to the feeling, the little feeling of the breath as it comes and goes from the nostrils. So this is how you can prevent your shamatha from stagnating and turning into some type of a daydreaming exercise. In any case, I wanted to mention that to you. Let's see. A questioner, Sunma, is asking, is it helpful to learn about the later stages of meditation, like in the 9 stages when you're still at the beginning? I tell you what, it depends on the individual. I think there's no harm in studying the layout of what happens gradually in time. But for some people, it'll make them feel depressed because they'll say, oh, there's no way I'm ever going to get to the end of this. And so for those kinds of people, learning about them may just make them depressed. Or some people may be so excited by them that they run ahead and they don't practice their meditation because they're too busy trying to imagine doing the higher stages and things like this. So I'm going to have to leave that up to you as to whether it's a good idea to hear about it. But they will be mentioned in the handout that I'm going to share that goes with this module. Any other questions or responses that?
There's one from Kaisa saying, can you meditate with your eyes closed or should you just look down with a gaze?
Oh, hey, thanks very much. I did miss that one. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, every person is different. So here I'll tell you about my journey with it, just me personally. It is Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche emphasized that meditation is not daydreaming and not escape. We're not trying to escape from the world, and that this is one of the functions of having the eyes lightly open. We're not trying to shut out the world or go somewhere. We're trying to be present with what is. And this is why the gaze should be diffuse. And this is why sometimes people have to continuously lighten up on the gaze. When you feel you're tightening up, you have to lighten it up and let yourself relax. It says, can you meditate with your eyes closed? This, for many people, eyes closed will make them fall asleep. The downward gaze is probably really good. That's one of the attention devices, because if your eyes are straight out, you have more possible distractions going on out here in front of you. So the downward gaze dampens that tendency. So, and here's my own thing. As you can see, I am very nearsighted. I had a Tibetan doctor tell me that he really felt sorry for people who are very nearsighted because he said your glasses make your eyes work so hard that they get so tired. He said you should give yourself a break every day from your glasses and just let yourself see the world as it naturally is. Well, if I do that, I'm going to run into the wall. But it's something that, so at first for me, I had a lot of distractions because my eyes are forced to focus so much from my glasses that I had to take my glasses off in order to meditate, because otherwise I would be like seeing patterns in the carpet and things like that. It was just not good. And I was continuously distracted by what I was seeing. And so I took them off, and that was great. Then eventually, one of my meditation masters told me that it was okay for me to close my eyes lightly again because of my nearsightedness. So I sometimes have my eyes open and sometimes have it closed, but it just depends on the individual. Some individuals can do this, but others cannot, because when they do it, they naturally, their body takes the closing of the eyes as a natural cue that it's time to go to sleep. Let's see. Is it good to meditate with background music, like the singing bowls? Again, this is really different to each individual. Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche himself did not think that meditating to music was a good idea. And here's why. He said, most people, when they hear music, he said it will give them an emotional response. They may love that beautiful music and they can't just hear it as sound. They get emotionally involved in the music. And so he said he tended to feel that it wasn't a good idea. However, I know that some modern meditation teachers say that you can use sound, but only if you do not attend to the sound as an emotional thing, but just as sound waves. This is very difficult for those of us who have listened to music for years. It's very difficult for us to do. So I feel like the chanting, if it's necessary to use music or sound as an anchor for your attention, that's as long as you don't put emotional content into what you're listening to. And when I get into, because I have just a few minutes here to teach you a visual technique, when I get into that, I'll describe how this could be used for sound. But again, Kempo Karthar Rinpoche kind of frowned on it because he thought that it allowed people to drift into a fantasy world instead of really being present with the present moment of mind's awareness. So I'm going to leave it to each individual person to make that decision. So apologies, but we'll have to stop here. But I do have an exercise for you to do. I'm a little embarrassed. Oh yeah, well let's use this. Because I didn't get the picture queued up, so stand by. You know, here we go. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. There are lots of in meditation manuals that you read. The Ninth Karmapa wrote several meditation manuals, and sometimes you'll hear them say that you can use a small stick, a small stick that you place, like about this big, about 1.5 to 2 inches, small stick, and you place it on the table in front of you. Other people favor, I'm going to take something that's not the object, and I'm going to use this lid from a bottle here. And it's about the size. Or you could use a small river stone. They prefer that you use a small river stone. This is my stand-in for that. Again, only about 1 to 1.5 inches across, and it should be very boring. It should not have like designs in it or anything like that. It should be just a very general object, and that you would place it on the table. I'm going to use this as my stand-in for a stone. You'd place it on the table in front of you, and then you would place your attention on the visual object. And what you'll notice after looking at the object for a short time, that your eyes could literally look at it forever, but after a while, your attention will wander. And so the technique is the same. When you notice that your attention has wandered, you notice, you let it go, and you bring it back and replace it on the object. And again, I'm just using this cap right now as a stand-in for a river stone. I forgot to bring my river stone. I have a really beautiful one, but I forgot to bring it. Um, so but the key piece is to do it for short periods of time. You place your attention and then you let up on the attention and you can just, allow your mind to relax for a minute and do nothing. And then you place your attention again. Maybe for a minute, however long is natural. And then you let up again. And you would do this for a very short period of time. I would not recommend that you try to sit and do this for half an hour or something, maybe 10, 15 minutes for this exercise. And what you will notice is that at first there's a lot of tension as you place you have like physical tenseness, or as you're doing this. So what you can do while you are looking at the object is you can allow your attention to relax. You can allow your mind to relax and to soften and allow it to expand in the perception, the very simple perception of the object. You don't comment on the object. You don't say, "Oh, that's beautiful," or "Oh, that's ugly." You try to not talk about the object. You just are very simple. You have a very simple and direct attention to the object. And you're not commenting on it. It's just a simple attention. And again, I wouldn't try doing this for long periods of time. Because otherwise it could become effortful. You see, I don't know if anybody's told you this or not, but we bring to our meditation practice a certain personal style of confusion and delusion. I don't know if you notice this or not, but like if we're type A personalities, gotta do it, gotta do everything perfect. So we kind of bring our personal style of confusion to our practice. And our hope is that by continuously being gentle and relaxing and allowing and soft and gentle with ourselves, that gradually our personal style of confusion will not get in the way of our practice. At first, if we're judgy people, we're going to judge ourselves a lot. But we also have to remember to relax the judgment and just be present with the object like that. Just be present with the object. The best object, I mean, a stick is okay and a little stone is okay, but the coolest object is to use an image of the Buddha. There we go. Isn't that nice? The best kind is the kind that has all of it's just really, it's well drawn to the proper proportions and so forth. I'll include this drawing with the set of handouts that I put up online for this particular class. What you can do is, if you use the Buddha, you place it on your table. Remember that picture from the beginning? It's a real picture. Let's see if I can. There we go. It's a real picture. So if you put this real picture on your table, not that one because that one's real busy. This one's kind of nice. You place it on your table a few feet ahead of you, just maybe a few inches ahead, and you look at it, and you put it a comfortable distance from yourself. You don't put it like here. You put it on your table, and just allow your eyes to look at it. Just look at the image of the Buddha. Don't comment. Just let your eyes rest on it. If you're being too tight, sometimes the image will waver. So you have to know to relax and let up your on your attentiveness. So if this is difficult, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche was talking about this once. He said you could start at the I'm going to use my little pointer. I think you can see it. You start at the top of the Buddha's head, and then you note. You can go through the picture, sort of gradually taking in the different parts of the body. working down through the torso and the legs and the seat and the lotus flower, and then back up again. Just not commenting, just looking and looking at the image. Back up to the top again, starting at the top and then ending at the top. And then just let the mind relax. Again, just doing this for short periods of time, because otherwise it might engage our confusion and delusion. Maybe we'll become competitive. You're like, oh, I've got to do this better than I did it last time, and so forth and so on. It's about becoming a friend to your mind. So I'm glad we had this little bit of class. Because of time, we're just about out of time. So instead of doing a regular meditation here, let's just look at the Buddha. Can you do that? Just look at the Buddha for like maybe 2 minutes. Okay. Try it and see. So that'll be our little meditation, is just looking at the Buddha. Let's see if I can make the picture of size so that it all fits in the frame. There we go. Again, placing our body in the posture of meditation, starting with the intention of, I'm going to place my attention on this image. And when my attention wanders, I'm going to bring it back very gently. And so we'll do that for a minute or two. Okay. So what you would do is you would be attentive for as long as it's comfortable. And then when the tension becomes uncomfortable, then you would stop and then let your mind rest for a minute. You could even get a little distracted, look around and just be present with yourself on your seat. And then you can place your attention again. And again, I would not do this in a forceful, harsh way. Just allow your attention to rest for a short time, then let up on it. Because if you try to be too intent, it will give you, maybe your eyes will even hurt. So we don't want that. Again, part of the reason I wanted to give a physical object is because some people have told me that breath awareness meditation makes them nervous. I've had a few people tell me that. And some folks, um, they form a dislike for meditation because sitting and being aware of the breath makes them feel a little bit closed in. So having a visual object, or as I mentioned before, a sound object that is maybe not music, that maybe the bowls would be a better alternative than listening to melodic music. But the idea is that you place your attention on the sound and you don't comment on the beauty or the ugliness of the sound. You're present with the sound. And again, you place your attention for a while and then you let up. Place your attention and then let up. Place your attention and let up. Hopefully this will help. Let's see. So because of time, oh my gosh, we're at the end of our time. It's been wonderful to be with you folks tonight and to learn about mindfulness and alertness. And next week, you'll be learning. Now I've lost my outline. Uh-oh, here it is. Next week, you're going to learn about the person earlier was asking about the 9 stages of shamatha. You're going to learn a shorter version of it called the 4 stages of shamatha, where we talk about the how thoughts arise in meditation and how you see them. So, in any case, that's what we're going to be doing next week. So, at the end of our time, we should dedicate the goodness of our session. So I'll ask Yunten to give us our dedication prayers, place them on the screen, and then we'll recite these prayers, gathering together all the goodness that we've accumulated here and dedicating it for all sentient beings. So one of the beauties of having everybody together tonight is that there's a lot of really good energy here. Even in a Zoom room, you can feel the sincerity and the goodness of the people who are here. And I just want to thank you for bringing yourself and your sincerity and your goodness to this space. We all need spaces like this so that we can support one another in our practice. And I thank you for bringing yourself here tonight. So we'll dedicate all of that goodness, starting with this long life prayer for His Holiness Karmapa. O Jiao Kun Ning Je Ran Zu Karmapa, Jiao Kun Trin Lei Chi Du Karmapa, Giao Kun Dun So Huang Kur Karmapa, U Jen Du Du Trin Lei Shap Ten So. Sunam de tam che se pani, tom ne ne pedra nam pam jen he, ke gana chi palap tru pai, si pe so le dro an yu dro shok. Jam pao pao wo ji tar kien pa dang, kun tu zang po de yang de jin de da kun gi je su da lop ching, ge wa di da tam che rap tu ngo. Sanjay kusum ne pejin laptang, chuni min jordan pejin laptang, gendun mi che dun pejin lapki, jitar ngo amun lam drupar sho. Du shi le chao chao wei trin le pa, karma pa ten ten pe nim po di, cho tar kun chop chop chin chun mi che, ta para pel Pelweterashi show. All right, thank you. Thank you to Lama Mark for translating for our Mandarin audience. And thank you, Yunten, for being our host with the most tonight. And thanks again to all of you for being here and for supporting this class. I'm just rolling through the little thank yous in the chat. Thank you so much. I wish you well. Be well, and we'll see you again. All right. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Be well.